In this video, we are going to explain what are those simple ant behavior rules we are trying to code up for the model. Because in the previous video, we know that any agent-based model consists of two major parts. The first, or the most important part, is the single agent's behavior rules. So for ants, we summarize 4 different rules here. The first rule is probably the most common rule, that is to wonder. That is how ants work in real world. It always looks like the ants is doing some random work. Okay, that at least that seems to be so. So we need to code up wonder. And the second behavior rule is looking for food. Because, the purpose of ants is getting food and transport the food back to the nest. So we need to code this behavior. And inside this behavior, there are other small actions. For example, in the normal way for ants to look to find food and transport food is that ants were trying to sniff about pheromone, a kind of chemical produced by ants themselves. So they use pheromone to track food, to trace where the food is, to find the food direction. And then once they locate the correct food direction, it will moving forward towards food. So these actions belongs to looking for food. The third action is to move towards nest. That is when the ant found food, and then it carries food, turning back and walking towards the nest. On the way home, the ants will will produce and leave some pheromone on the way, so that it will help other ants to trace the food source. It will also help yourself to come back for more food. That's the third behavior rule. The fourth behavior rule is the pheromone behavior itself. Pheromone as a chemical, it has its own basic properties like evaporation, like diffusion. So we need to set a value for each of these parameters to simulate as a guide for how the chemical will react and behave as time goes. So now let's have a look of how those behavior rules look like in the model. So we set up a very simple but very superficial world for the ants. This is the ant nest. This full pile of food, and we generate an ant and see how it behaves. So now it's looking for food, and now you got food, and then you transport food back home, and leaving chemicals along the way. And the chemicals will evaporate, it will diffuse. So these are the basic rules.